Which one was this?
Fungal, I think.
That's right, it was fungus. Good, that's right. Which means, since it is a fungus, is that going to make it a prokaryote or a eukaryote? That's right, eukaryote. Which means it's an autotroph. Okay, so it's going to carry out aerobic respiration, like an oxygen that's in the air we're breathing right now. And what yeast normally does is, like, we use this, like when we're baking, for example. You know, you mix it with flour, you make your dough.
It makes the dough rise.
Yes, and the reason why is because the starch that's in the flour is breaking the starch down. Gentlemen, breaking the starch down. And what's going to happen is it's going to release carbon dioxide gas, a byproduct. That's what's going to cause that dough to rise. And in the case of beer brewing, what yeast does is you're going to have the fructose that's basically that's being produced like in the malt, you know, and then what happens is going to break that down, and it's going to produce, of course, the carbon dioxide, but in this case, it'll be ethanol as a byproduct. Okay, so we mix the yeast, and those of you who are close will probably notice the bready smell. Yes, that's the yeast. So what the warm water does, that activates the yeast because it sits kind of like in suspended animation until the water warms up. Now, while the yeast is waking up, what's going to happen is we're going to have, okay, right now, if you see a couple folks who don't have their goggles on, okay, remember the rule is everybody's got to have their goggles on, regardless, okay? Because believe me when I say that if I drop this flask, there will be pieces, you'll be picking up pieces on that back shelf back there. That's how far this glass will shrapnel if you drop it, okay? So make sure you have your goggles on. Okay, so here's the hydrogen peroxide. This is actually 20%. Got this from the salon care place. They actually use this for hairdressing, like for bleaching and so forth. This should be half a cup here, right? All right, then we add the dish soap. Now the dish soap is going to help us see the results of this reaction, which I'm going to talk about. And then, to make it more visible, let's add a little bit of food coloring here.
Blue.
The red and blue and green.
Oh, red and blue.
Red, blue, and green.
So we're going to add all three. So there's the green. Then we have the red. Then we add the blue. And so now we will add the yeast water mixture, and we'll observe this reaction that occurs as a result.
Oh yeah. Wow.
No,
So,
miss
so,
So is this how they make elephant toothpaste or something similar to it? Or no?
What is the reaction?
Huh?
Yeah, it is the elephant reaction.
So yes.
Yeah. What I'm saying is it's going to be different because we're using yeast as a source of the catalase instead of the pure catalase itself. Now, okay, now class up here. So we're not done yet. We're not done yet. So, here's what's going on. What the dish soap did, notice all the fine foam bubbles and how it comes in different colors. It's almost like a big thing of an Aquafresh, right? You can probably see. Let me turn around this. You can kind of see from there. You know, Aquafresh toothpaste. Now, here's what's going on. We add the yeast, the reaction for the catalase occurred, and what we got as a byproduct was water and oxygen. Okay. The oxygen is what causes it to bubble up. That's why we were using the dish soap. The dish soap actually Because you don't know, salt bubbles up, right? Well, that foamy appearance, that's from the oxygen that was being produced in this reaction. So basically, the hydrogen peroxide, which is toxic, has now been neutralized. This is why, if you notice, if you ever use hydrogen peroxide on your cuts and scrapes, have you noticed how it bubbles? You seen the foam up bubble? That's why. Because the catalase in your tissues, the moment you put that on your skin, the catalase in your tissues start breaking it down. So yeah, it was killing the bacteria there, but as it was killing the bacteria, it was also being neutralized by the catalase in your system to keep it from becoming too toxic. Okay? And so, the oxygen your body uses, you may wonder, what about this stuff? Well, do this for me. Take your goggles off and blow on the surface. What's happening? That's the water from this reaction. When your body's going through this reaction right now, neutralizing the hydrogen peroxide that your cells are producing, the water that's being left as a byproduct, you're blowing that out as the moisture on your breath. See, that's an example. Proof of the evidence, rather, of the reaction going on in your cells right now. Okay, and so basically, that's what we have going on here is that your cells produce hydrogen peroxide. It's toxic. We have to break it down. Now, what will happen eventually is, as part of the aging process, as you get older, your liver starts to produce less and less catalase. That's a natural part of the aging process. And so that excess hydrogen peroxide gets stored in hair. Okay? And as a result, that's why you may notice, have you ever noticed how some gray hair looks extremely white? And some have just a grayish look? Yeah. What happens is the hydrogen peroxide is stored in the hair, in older people. And so what happens is when the hair goes gray naturally because of genetics and other factors. But normally when the hair goes gray, it's just either a gray or a silvery color, right? When we get that really bright white color, that's going to be the result of the hydrogen peroxide that's accumulating there. Okay, so that's one of those little practical, chemistry related to biology examples. All right, so any questions, comments? Pretty cool, huh?